Good day, I'm Chester. Today I'll be reporting the feeding procedure. Feeding fish is the most important daily activity at fish farm requiring a considerable amount of time. Whenever manual or mechanical, the feeding method used should be economical and allow some control and reliability in dispensing feed. The method should minimize the feed waste, provide to monitor the fish appetite and feed consumption, and should be distributed feeds widely in order to promote uniform feeding and growth. The choice of feeding methods will depend on the following factors: the labor cost, scale of farm operation, species being farmed, type of holding tank, hatchery, and grow-out operation. There are two types of feeding procedure: the manual feeding and the mechanical feeding. Manual feeding can closely monitor the appetite, feeding behavior, and abnormalities if any of the animal. However, it is labor intensive and time consuming. There are two types of feeding. In small ponds, manual feeding includes broadcasting of feeds into the pond as well placing the feeds into the floating frame for the floating feeds. And for the sinking feeds, it needs a feeding tray, which are typically used to avoid the overfeeding in aquaculture production system. For large ponds, manually broadcasting the feeds into the middle of a big pond requires a use of a small bangka, as you can see uh, in the lower right picture. In mechanical feeding, there are two types of feeders being used: the automatic feeders and the demand feeders. When you say automatic feeders, it is set to release a controlled amount of feed when being activated. For the demand feeders, it can release a few pellets each time the triggering mechanism is bumped by the fish. Mechanized feeding procedure requires a high capital operating cost, but can offset by the reduction of the labor costs associated with the manual feeding.